Hello. Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome. I'm going to give everyone a chance to join and we'll get started. Let's see. Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. Come on in, don't be shy. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are excited. We have an action-packed agenda today. We're going to be talking today about elevator pitching, self-promotion, putting yourself out there as a small business owner. So come on in and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Ngozi, and my topic today is going to be about elevator pitching and self-promotion. So come on in, come on in. We're going to give people a few minutes to get settled, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I see we have some few people on the line. So today's conversation is going to be very interactive. So feel free to ask questions, drop questions in the chat. Feel free, we're going to have a conversation today. So we're going to wait for folks to get started, to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, welcome, come on in. Come on in. We're going to give folks a few more minutes to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So drop in the chat if you have any questions or anything you want me to go over specifically on the line today. Yes, feel free. So I'm going to be pinning questions. I'm going to be asking questions, answering questions. I'm going to be pinning questions. So don't be shy if you have any questions. If you're not comfortable on the line, I'll make sure I'll give you my contact information afterwards so we can connect. But I'm very excited. I'm a small business owner myself, so I'm super excited about talking about today's topic, which is one of my favorite topics, and that is pitching ourselves, self-promotion, putting ourselves out there, not being shy about telling the world how great we are, the things that we have going on. So let's give folks another minute to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, and like I said earlier, feel free to drop in the chat. Feel free to drop in the chat any questions that you have. As you're dropping questions, I'll make sure I'll pin them, I'll answer them, and let's get a conversation going. So don't be shy. Today's conversation is going to be interactive. Super excited about today's topic because we need to get out there as small business owners. We got to be comfortable telling people what we do, how we do it, and not being shy about sharing our greatness with the world. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce myself, what I do, who am I. I want to first of all start off by thank you, DC Now Events. Thank you, Nails, for this opportunity. It's very exciting to be able to be a part of the movement of talking to entrepreneurs, business owners about promoting themselves, putting themselves out there. I think this is a great initiative. So I want to thank you so much for the platform. So my name is Ngozi, and I'm the creator of Network. And what Network is, we're a global networking and dance fitness movement that I created actually in Washington, D.C. We started in D.C. back in 2018. And I will say that DC Now Events was actually our very first partnership. And what our mission is about bringing women together and creating a space where women can let their guards down and be able to build relationships with each other in a space that's not very stuffy or superficial or awkward. I saw a need for a networking community for women that was welcoming and warm, but also was fun. So something that you actually want to do and not something that's scary and make it so that you dread networking. So we started back in 2018, and I'll tell you a little bit about where I was in that point in my life. I spent years in the consulting field. So I was working in the consulting field, and years were going by, and I was frustrated because I wasn't moving up. I was working very hard, and I was doing everything that I was told I needed to do in order to be promoted, but year after year, I still wasn't promoted. And it was eventually where I made that connection that, hey, you know what? I need to know people. It's not about just being a hard worker, but it's also about putting myself out there, getting out there and promoting myself at work. And that wasn't something I was doing. And I know a lot of that actually had to do with just being from another country. So I'll start off by saying that I'm originally from Nigeria. And when my family came over here, like many immigrants and many minorities, we make the mistake when we go into the corporate field that it's about working hard, putting our head down at our computer, being the hardest working person in the room, coming in early, leaving late, and that's going to get us promoted. And then we're shocked when we see people who are not even doing half the work as us, but they're moving up pretty fast. So there's so many of those unwritten rules and things, concepts that oftentimes I feel like we miss. And part of that is the importance of putting yourself out there and having a community of people that can support you and that can rally for you. So that's where it clicked to me that, hey, you know what? I need to change my attitude about networking. I need to go out and have a good time networking and building my relationships so that I can be the one moving up too. So that's really what inspired me to want to create this movement and mission to make networking fun. So our events are all networking events that move into dance classes, and they're really designed to make networking not a scary place for women. So that's a little bit about the network movement, why we started. We started in the Washington, D.C. area, and after a few years, it really started to take off, and we started gaining attention from dancers in other cities that wanted to bring network to their cities. So this year, we actually licensed network to be able to help dance instructors be able to get licensed and certified and be able to launch network in their own city. So since 2018, we've actually expanded, and now network is being hosted in over 20 cities worldwide. And we have instructors that are doing a phenomenal job bringing network to their cities. So that's a little bit about my background. If you just joined, I'm Ngozi, and I'm the creator of Network. And today's topic is really going to be about self-promotion and pitching ourselves and putting ourselves out there. If you didn't hear my background, a lot of the reason why I started Network is I just feel like there's so many unwritten rules in the workplace. And when you transition off into business, sometimes you carry those same beliefs that, oh, my product is just going to sell itself. Or, you know, people are just going to find me and want to sign up and buy whatever I'm selling. But we don't realize oftentimes as small business owners that it's really up to us as founders and owners to do everything we can to put our work out there, to sell it, to pitch it everywhere we are. There's no right or wrong place to promote yourself and what you're doing in your business. And the key is really seeing the value in what you're doing. So that's what today's topic is going to be about. So let's talk about elevator pitching and self-promotion. I will start by saying that the first step when you're coming up with an elevator pitch and putting yourself out there, it all starts with understanding your value, because everything else I'm going to say is completely irrelevant if you're, as a business owner, if you're not really sold on what you're doing and seeing the value in what you do. Oftentimes, we make this mistake because we're now living in times where we can see what everyone's doing online. You see your girlfriend who's been doing the same business as you for several years, or someone on the internet who's far ahead of you, and you now think, oh, well, I'm just a little guy, I'm just starting, I'm the small business owner. But if you have that attitude when you're going into networking situations where you could be pitching yourself, then you're kind of already shooting yourself in the foot. So part of it all starts with knowing what it is that you're offering. Who cares? Who are you serving? Whose life is better because of your business? So I'll start off with my business. Whose life we're improving is women who often feel like it's hard to meet people. I don't belong in these networking spaces. A lot of these places aren't welcoming for me, or I'm trying to connect with people. It's hard to meet people. So we provide a space that makes networking fun, and people need that. People need to feel connected to other people. It's a human need. So the question I'll ask you all is to take a moment and think about it. As a small business owner, or if you're aspiring to be a small business owner, who are you helping? Whose life is going to be better because of your business? So you go into networking spaces and connecting with people, just having that in mind first. And that's really going to be the framework, is understanding the value of what you're offering, and then figuring out who benefits, who wins because of what I'm doing. So another thing to keep in mind is that we're kind of living in really exciting times because of COVID and the pandemic. It's thrown us off, but it has created a number of opportunities that we didn't quite realize years ago when we started business, that the world and anyone can now be someone that you can network with. So networking has never been so easy, and there has never been so many opportunities for you to pitch yourself as to now. So that's at least one positive thing that we can say that we can now do with all of the technology that we have. So when you're thinking about pitching yourself, don't necessarily think about where you're pitching yourself and how. You can now pitch yourself in person, you can pitch yourself in virtual spaces. All of that can now be done through all the tools that we have now. So the number one thing to start off with is thinking about your story. So ask yourself, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's special about me? So when you think through what's unique about your mission and what's unique about your business, that's where it all starts. And come up with at least 3 things about yourself that's unique. Like, think of what can no one else say about their business or themselves that's similar to you. So if you're just joining us, hello, welcome. I'm Ngozi. I'm the creator of NetWerk. We're a global networking and dance fitness movement for women. And today's topic is all about pitching ourselves. And the reason why this topic holds so close to my heart is because, you know, oftentimes I feel like we are so shy, especially us women. We think of self-promotion and pitching ourselves as like bragging. And some of us are oftentimes afraid to put ourselves out there. But if you kind of shift your mind and you think of pitching yourself as, I'm now offering people something that they might have not known about that can change their lives. So I want to do that. So I think we have a question in the chat. Let me check the chat really quick and let's see what the question is. Even if you don't have a business. Oh, that's a great question. So let me post the question up so everybody can see it. So the question is, should you have an elevator pitch if you don't have a business? So here's the cool thing about elevator pitches. They mold over time. So for example, back when I was a corporate professional working in the consulting field, I had a pitch based on wanting to move up. So I think I told you, part of how I started NetWerk is I was very frustrated with feeling as though I was doing everything that I was told by leadership that I need to be doing in order to move up. So I did all those things and still I wasn't being promoted. So I'm like, what am I missing? So when I would go out to networking events, I had a specific pitch that was designed for moving up. You see, so that pitch is different from the pitch that I use now as a small business owner wanting to spread the word about my mission and the movement that we're building. So your elevator pitch transfers and translate with you wherever you go. So the answer to that question is yes. You want to have an elevator pitch for every stage of entrepreneurship that you're in, whether you're just getting started, whether you're looking for funding, and whether you're already established and you're someone who's looking to get to the next level. Your elevator pitch will make changes as you go. I think that's a really great question. So earlier I was saying about story. When it comes to time to put your elevator pitch together, one of the key things that you have to think about is pinpointing those things that make you unique. As small business owners, that is something that separates you from everyone else in the crowd. A lot of times what happens is we don't even start because we're so nervous about the thought that, oh, everyone's doing this, especially if you're one of those crowded spaces. You're thinking, okay, what is everyone doing? And I'm just gonna be another noise. But when you ask yourself, what can I do better than anyone else or do differently? That's a start. I'll give you an example. So myself wanting to start network and have a movement. So I could have easily just started a networking organization, but I wanted to apply dance. Why? Because I've been a dancer my whole life. So by adding dance, that gave us something that was very unique and that was very special that's actually helped us land a lot of media opportunities. So for example, since we've launched, NetWerk has been featured in Thrive Global, we've been in Huffington Post, we've been on ABC, Fox, NBC, and I will tell you, one of the things that attracted news outlets to our story the most is the fact that there was this dance element combined to networking. And most media outlets that I pitched our stories to, they've never seen a networking event that combined dance. So had I just focused on having a networking organization, that would have taken a lot of potential media opportunity out of the mix. But I used the fact that I've been a professional dancer since I was a kid. I wanted to throw that into the mix because I knew that would make me stand out. That would be exciting to the media, and that would set me apart from everyone else that had a passion for networking and bringing people together. So I think that's a great way to kind of segue to the next point, and that's really being concise. The part of being networking an elevator pitch is being able to set up what you're going to say, know what you're talking about in advance, and really slim that down to like the most exciting things that people are going to remember. Like, ask yourself, when this person goes home that I'm trying to meet and pitch myself to, if they have 20, 30, 40 business cards in their wallet, what's going to make them remember me? So these are the things that you have to ask yourself before you go to networking spaces, and before you pitch yourself. Ask yourself what's going to make you a little bit different so that people can remember you. People can remember you. So if you're just joining, hello, I'm Ngozi again, and I'm creator of Network. So what we're talking about today is really pitching yourself, positioning yourself, and putting yourself out there for opportunities, and making sure to have like elevator pitches as you're going along. So elevator pitches, think of this as like a condensed highlight of who you are and some of the best things that sets you apart from the crowd and how people can help you. Part of this is my segue to my next point is, how can people help you? When you're getting out there, it's very important to make sure that you're clear with people on what steps they can take to support you. Like if you're a small business owner, for example, and if you're looking for funding, that should be a part of your elevator pitch. Hey, my name is Jessica. I'm looking to start a business, and what I could use support with is X, Y, and Z. And the cool thing about my business is I started it out of my basement, and now, we are traveling around the world doing some really cool things. So don't be shy to let people know a highlight of your business, but then also let them know something that they can take away and support you, if support is what you're looking for. So your elevator pitch should be brief. I think we went over that. It should be brief. It should be, the reason why it's called an elevator pitch is really, if you're stuck in an elevator with someone, you probably got like 15, 20 seconds to sell yourself, put your best foot forward, make sure that you're memorable and that you stand out of the crowd, and let people know how they can support you in that short amount of time. Brief, understanding your story, understanding your value, picking through what makes you unique. That is, in essence, what you put together as elevator pitch. So I'm gonna take a quick pause. I wanna see if there's any questions that come in. If you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them. I know a lot of the things that I'm talking about today, it's crazy. When I started my career and I started my entrepreneur journey, these were not really things that were common sense or that I understood. It was just getting out there and getting it wrong. And often, sometimes, to be honest with you, showing up unprepared, not really understanding when I go out, what do I do? What do I talk about? And what do I say to help me get ahead? So part of it is really having an action plan before you head out and really taking some time to do some homework about things that's going to help set you apart and that's going to help you. So if you guys have any questions, then go ahead and feel free to drop that in. So let's talk a little bit about where do you pitch yourself, right? Where do you pitch yourself? And the simple answer to that is anywhere. As a small business owner, you should be looking to get your name out there anywhere, anyhow you can. The cool thing about pitching is it's something that we actually have control over. There's so many things in business. For those of you that have either started a business or you're working towards starting a business, you'll realize that there's so many things in business that you will never have control over. But the cool thing I'll tell you today is that pitching is one thing that you do have control over. Refining your pitch, practicing your pitch, the things that you put out there into the world, that is something that's completely within our control. And as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you really should want to be taking advantage of anything that you can do in order to get your name out there. So that's whether that's pitching to the media, pitching when you're out in events. If you're in these digital conferences, having your pitch prepared in advance, that's another good step that you can take. I know this year a lot of conferences have gone digital, which gives you a leg up because now you have access to people that you may not have been able to meet before, or you may not be able to be in the same room with. So being prepared even to these digital conferences could definitely help. I think we have a question coming, so let me see what it is. Okay. Awesome. So how can you guys get in touch with me and network? There's a couple of ways. Glad you asked. So we're on Instagram. So you can follow us at networkmovement.com. So that's NET w.NetWerk.com. Another thing is join our mailing list. We have events in the Washington, D.C. area. I know I said that network started in the Washington, D.C. area. We have expanded, so if you're traveling and looking to take classes in other cities, definitely join our mailing list and check out our website. You can find our instructors who are in other locations through that. So our website is networkmovement.com. And then we're on Instagram at Network Movement. And then you can reach out to myself personally if you have other questions about networking and putting yourself out there and presenting yourself confidently. I'm at Jen Ngozi, so that's JenNgozi. You can add me on Instagram. You can add me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook too. You can add me on LinkedIn. So I know we're running low on time, so let me know if you guys have other questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But I will say this, I do want to talk about like roadblocks, because I feel like one of the biggest issues that we always have as small business owners is just, I think the word says it itself, small. Sometimes it's easy to feel small, especially when we're getting started and not really understanding the value in the work that we're doing. So when you're out there, when you're pitching yourself, one of the things I would advise you is just take some time, just reflecting on everything all the reasons why you started your business, what you're trying to change in the world, what are you trying to do, and see value in that no matter what stage that you're in. The moment we stop seeing self-promotion as a negative thing, that's going to remove some of the barriers that makes it so that we're so nervous about, oh, I don't want to put myself out there yet. You know, we had a girl on our team she started her own dance class. And I remember she said something about, oh, okay, well, I just want to keep it low key for now. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And part of it was just that she was afraid that, she wasn't ready and she just got started and she hasn't really quite figured everything out. So she didn't want to put it all out there yet. But the reason why you started your business is you want to help people, right? You want to change something. So why would you deny people that opportunity to support you? So think about it like that. When you're scared of promoting yourself and pitching yourself and putting yourself out there, ask yourself, why did you start what you're doing? Who are you trying to help? Think about it as you're robbing them if you're not telling them about all of the great things that you're doing. Let people know how they can support you, how they can buy from you, how they can share your information, how they can sign up for what you're doing. So part of being a small business owner is learning how to be creative and scrappy and creating opportunities for yourself. So a lot of people are like, oh, I have to wait for this big break, or my big break is coming. Sometimes that big break could be the opportunities that you create for yourself. So it's not always about waiting for people to open doors for you and things to happen to you. Part of it is learning how to be creative and create some of those opportunities yourself. So let's look at the chat. If you just joined, we're getting ready to wrap up the chat, but I'm Jen Ngozi. I'm the creator of NetWerk. We are a global networking and dance fitness movement. We actually started here in DC, but we have expanded. And our mission is all about creating space for women to come together, to feel more confident, to connect with other creative, collaborative women, and be able to break down all those barriers that are making us scary. We dance at our events because we see dance as an ultimate icebreaker. We see it as a way to make women feel good about themselves, feel confident, feel sexy. So that's what our mission is all about, and we're really big on supporting the community and giving back with all the information we can. So if you're just joining, I'll shout out our information again. We're on Instagram at Network Movement, so that's network spelled NETWERK movement. We're also on our website. You can check out our website. It's www.networkmovement.com, and that's network spelled NETWERK. You can add me on Instagram or follow me on Facebook. I'm at Jen Ngozi. That's JenNgozi. So feel free to answer any question. We have a couple more minutes, so feel free to answer any questions. What we talked about today was pretty much the breakdown of an elevator pitch. You start off by thinking about your story. Why did you start what you did? Understanding what's the value behind what you're doing. What makes you different? What makes you stand out from the tens of hundreds of thousands of people that are doing the exact thing as you? So what makes you different? Why should I buy from you and not them? How am I going to remember your business card, your name, and your title, as opposed to the 50 business cards that I collected today? So these are some of the things that we were talking about today, just understanding how to put ourselves out there, promote ourselves as small business owners. Think about think about yourself as your own PR agent. A lot of times when we start, we don't really have the budget to do anything fancy in terms of PR. So the better you get at pitching yourself, we talked about how that can definitely help to create and open opportunities and open doors for you. So it looks like we have another question that came in. Let's see. What? Ooh, that's a good question. What was my most memorable elevator pitch? That is a great question. So I would say, as many students that I've met since hosting and observing network events, I will say, so we had a woman come to one of our classes and she talked about being homeless and how being homeless really helped her to launch her business. And what her business is being able to help homeless women make that transition from being on the streets to being back integrated into society, whether that include like drug rehab. So the passion and the why she was doing what she was doing and being able to really identify and have that attachment to her cause, I will never forget her. I will never forget her. Another thing is how confident she spoke. So when you're doing your elevator pitches, like think about that, like how important confidence and how you come off, how that alone could be so memorable. Because when I heard her background, when I heard a lot of the things that she went through, it was really mind-blowing. And I just thought it was so beautiful how she made that transition and now she was giving back. So she's definitely stood out to me. Other elevator pitches that stand out is when people are so open and honest. You know, there's been people who flat out just be like, you know, I need a job. I need a job. I can do anything. I could sweep. I can cook. I can write. I can read. I can translate. And just being so hungry and then open and honest and putting yourself out there. Oftentimes we have the habit of like building up walls, especially like when we're out networking, everyone kind of trying to put their best face forward and trying to, you know, look like we're always living our best life. But you'd be surprised sometimes by being vulnerable and actually opening up and letting people know what you're struggling with, that sometimes people are willing to help you. So I would say some of the most memorable pitches just came from people being real, you know, and I know that sounds so simple and common, but we live in very unique times where I feel like a lot of us, and it's just so easy to just be online putting on a show and acting like we're always living our best lives, but that's not always the case. And there are a lot of people who are struggling, but the more you can like be honest and come across as like a real person and let people know what you're struggling with, then you would be surprised how that comes out, how people can remember you just from being real. You know, that's, for me, I think that speaks volume to the times we're living in, but being authentic, putting yourself out there and not being afraid and ashamed of who you are in your story, I think that boils down to a lot of it. And I will stress on not being ashamed and afraid of your story. A lot of us try to like paint the best things, you know, when we're putting ourselves out there and we're speaking and we're connecting with people, but sometimes just being a real person and seeming flawed, that will make you be more memorable than you can ever imagine. So, taking a look to see if we have any questions. Thank you guys. Any final questions? This has been a really great conversation. I think we're all out of time, but I will end off by saying again, if you're just joining, today, I want to end off by really thanking DC Now Events because I love what they're doing. I think it's great. Small business owners, we just have so much potential, and now it's just such a great time for us to be able to get creative. 2020 has just been such a mind-blowing year in terms of learning how to pivot. But I think it's important to just hang in there and understand why we all started what we're doing. There has to be some story, some kind of motivation behind it. Don't give up on yourself. Don't be afraid and shy to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to self-promote and pitch yourself. And get in touch. Connect with myself, connect with Network, DC Now Events. We're all here to support you. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. I'm at networkmovement.com and network at Instagram. And then Jen Ngozi, you can find me there too. So that's JENNGOZI. All right. Thank you. Keep in touch.